I'm pleased to bring in now the expert. There is someone here who spent 229 days in space, NASA astronaut, former commander of the International Space Station, Leroy Chiao. He's also the author of Dinner with an Astronaut, currently available for pre-order. It is dropping next month. Leroy, I want to get your take on this because I've also heard congressional testimony of people that are military, pretty established, pretty respectable CVs, talking about what they've seen. And they said, I was nervous. I've never seen anything move this way. So are they real, UFOs? You tell us.
Well, the UFO, UAPs, certainly there are weird things that people have seen and recorded, myself included, including on space missions. I saw some odd things, but those were all explained as either natural or human-created phenomena. And I personally had an encounter in August of 2024. I was flying my little airplane over the Texas Panhandle, and two big metallic, very mirror-polished orbs went flying right by my left wing of my airplane, almost just about 20 feet away. And I couldn't explain what they were. And my guess is, as your correspondent was saying, a lot of these things are probably secret military programs that we just don't know about. Having said all that, I very firmly believe, my opinion, is that there's intelligent life spread out throughout the universe, but I very much doubt we've been visited because the universe is just so vast. Think about where the nearest star is that might, be able to support, and planets that might be able to support intelligent life as we know it. We're so far apart, I don't think we'll ever find each other.
You make a good point. A lot of this could be military and could be classified, but you would think if we go down the rabbit hole there, because maybe there is a preparation for what you would call first contact.
Sure. I don't. I would imagine this president is committed to being transparent, and if we did have some kind of proof that we had been visited, or have some kind of alien ship that we found, or even some of the people say that supposedly the U.S. government has bodies, then I think it would come out and prove that we have been visited. But like I said, I'm doubtful that we've actually been visited, but I wouldn't say the
right. But
chances
the
are
fact
zero.
that their intelligence life is out there, but the intelligence is out there, perhaps. So the preparation. I mean, obviously, it's a fascinating subject. It's been one that's been shrouded, of course, with a lot of lack of transparency, we should say. So things are now changing. FBI Director Kash Patel, Leroy, is out saying that there are more files that will be released. So what do you think of the fact that they're now, after all these years, making these very bold moves so people can look for themselves, scientists, and everyday Americans alike can form their own conclusions?
Oh, I think it's wonderful. I think this is absolutely the right thing to do. If you keep things like this classified and secret, I mean, unless you're going to be revealing some kind of secret military program that you don't want revealed, I think that's the best thing to do to stop all the speculation and conspiracy theorists of coming up with, well, why is the government hiding all these things, right? And so I think this is a very good move by the president, by the FBI director, and the Secretary of War to go ahead and release as many documents, or declassify as many documents as they can that do not give away any of our secrets, right? So I fully support this effort, and I think that's a great step.
I wonder, too, if this will attract people to space exploration. I mean, there's a lot of interest in it right now. We just saw the Artemis mission, SpaceX with the biggest IPO. Space is hot again. President Trump with Space Force. And as someone, who was the commander of the International Space Station, what we know or don't know right now, a lot of this could actually fuel some more exploration. Talk to us about the potential for that with some of these files dropping and the interest that it may pique with especially the younger generation.
Oh, sure. I mean, I think, humans have always been curious, right? We've always looked up at the stars ever since the primitive humans and wondered what was out there. What are those points of light out there at night? And, as you mentioned, space exploration, everybody's kind of gotten a shot in the arm with the Artemis 2 mission around the moon. First time we've sent humans near the moon in almost 54 years. A lot of excitement about the president's plans to land, hopefully, on the moon in the next, before the end of 2028. and, you know, establish a lunar base and then talk about Mars. And as you mentioned, SpaceX, they're getting ready to fly their 12th flight test of the Starship, which is the hugest rocket, the biggest rocket ever launched. And, you know, and I want to point out to people that may not have known, but they've actually caught 3 of those boosters, the biggest rockets ever launched, and they've refurbished and relaunched one of them, right? So a lot of exciting things going on, and I think this ties in with this UAP document release that'll kind of fuel more interest in space and what's out there.
So your book is Dinner with an Astronaut. I'm curious what you would serve. And when's the next book? It's Dinner with an Astronaut and an Alien. Or maybe not an alien.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully folks will like this book. It's laid out as if I was having dinner with a group of people, and these are the questions that they would ask during the appetizer, main course, and dessert. And I, of course, intertwine my personal stories and my professional stories in space, and also some, you know, some other mythology and notables in space exploration.
All right, cool. Well, the chances you said were not zero that we have not been visited, but fascinating stuff. I always remember the space food when I was learning as a kid, didn't look too appetizing, but obviously you've been up there and you've lived it, and great to have you today. Leroy Chiao, fascinating stuff for our nation. Thanks to President Trump. Appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.